Have you ever stumbled across a coincidence so bizarre it made your skin crawl? History is littered with eerie moments where reality seems to bend, leaving us questioning fate, chance, or something more mysterious. From presidents sharing uncanny parallels to novels predicting disasters, these stories will leave you stunned. Let's dive into the top creepiest coincidences in history that defy explanation. 1. The Lincoln-Kennedy parallels. What if two of America's most iconic presidents were bound together by a strange thread of eerie coincidences that defy explanation? Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, separated by a century, lived and died in ways that feel almost scripted by fate. Lincoln was elected in 1860, Kennedy in 1960, exactly 100 years apart. Both were assassinated on a Friday, shot in the head while their wives sat beside them. After their deaths, each was succeeded by a Johnson, Andrew Johnson after Lincoln, Lyndon B. Johnson after Kennedy, also born a century apart, in 1808 and 1908. Even their assassins, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald, share the odd detail of having 15 letters in their names. Lincoln was killed in Ford's Theater, Kennedy in a Lincoln car made by Ford. Adding to the strangeness, Lincoln's secretary named Kennedy warned him against the theater, while Kennedy's secretary named Lincoln urged him to avoid Dallas. Coincidence, or something more? 2. The Titanic novel that predicted disaster. What if a novel written years before the Titanic's maiden voyage seemed to predict its tragic end with eerie precision? In 1898, author Morgan Robertson published Futility, or The Wreck of the Titan, a story about the world's largest, most luxurious ship, the Titan, deemed unsinkable. In the novel, this massive British liner strikes an iceberg in the North Atlantic one April night and sinks, carrying far too few lifeboats for its passengers. 14 years later, in 1912, the Titanic suffered the same fate. An iceberg on the starboard side, April waters, and the same devastating shortage of lifeboats. Even their details aligned. The Titan measured 800 feet, the Titanic 882.5. One sped at 25 knots, the other 22.5. Was Robertson a prophet, or did he simply expose the dangers of hubris? To this day, his story feels like a literary haunting. 3. Twins separated at birth. Imagine being separated from your twin at birth, only to reunite decades later and realize you've lived the same life without knowing it. That's exactly what happened to Jim Lewis and Jim Springer, born in Ohio in 1939 and adopted by different families. For 39 years, they lived apart, yet their lives mirrored each other in uncanny ways. Both were named Jim by their adoptive parents. Both married women named Linda, divorced, and then married women named Betty. Both had sons named James Allen, or Allen, worked as security guards, smoked the same brand of cigarettes, and even drove identical Chevrolets. Their hobbies matched too: woodworking, fishing, and vacationing at the same Florida beach. Was it genetics, fate, or pure coincidence? The Jim twins story remains one of the strangest cases of life's eerie symmetry. 4. The man who cheated death. 7 times. What if one man dodged death so many times it seemed like the universe had other plans for him? Frane Silic, a Croatian music teacher, lived a life so strange it feels more like a Hollywood script than reality. He survived 7 near-death experiences that could have easily ended him, only to later win the lottery. In 1962, a train he was on derailed into a freezing river. Silic swam to shore while 17 others drowned. A year later, he was thrown from a plane mid-air during a crash, landing safely in a haystack as 19 passengers perished. Over the years, he escaped car explosions, bus crashes, and even being hit by a bus. Then, in 2003, at age 74, he won $1 million. Was Silic the luckiest man alive, or simply marked by fate? 5. The curse of Tamerlane's tomb. What happens when you disturb an ancient warlord's grave? In 1941, Soviet archaeologists opened the tomb of Tamerlane, the 14th century conqueror whose empire once stretched across Central Asia, and what followed seemed like a curse written into history. The tomb carried a chilling warning: "Whoever opens my tomb shall unleash an invader more terrible than I." Yet the warning was ignored, and on June 20th, 1941, the team proceeded with the excavation. Just 2 days later, on June 22nd, Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in history, plunging the Soviet Union into unimaginable destruction. Millions died before Tamerlane was finally reburied with Islamic rites in 1942. Was this truly fate or an eerie coincidence? 6. The Baby and the Bullet. Can a single bullet carry the weight of two lives in a story that echoes through history? During the chaos of the American Civil War, one strange twist of fate turned tragedy into legend. In 1863, Union soldier John W. Kearns was struck in the leg during the Battle of Vicksburg. But the bullet's path didn't end there. It traveled onward, fatally wounding a pregnant woman nearby. Against all odds, her unborn child survived, born with the bullet lodged inside his tiny body. The boy, named William Kearns after the soldier, grew up strong despite his grim beginning. Years later, destiny completed its circle when Dr. John Kearns met William, the very child who carried the bullet from that day. This surreal encounter became one of history's strangest coincidences, showing how war's darkest moments can create stories no one could invent. 7. The repeating numbers of 9/11s. Numbers can sometimes align in ways that feel too precise to be random, and nowhere is this more unsettling than in the tragedy of September 11, 2001. American Airlines Flight 11 was the first plane to strike the World Trade Center, on a date that itself reduces to 9 + 1 + 1 = 11. The plane carried 92 passengers, and 9 + 2 = 11, while the Twin Towers themselves stood side by side like the number 11. New York City has 11 letters, as does the Pentagon, another target that day. The first plane hit the 94th floor. 9 + 4 makes 13, yet the event still tied back to 11. And September 11th was the 254th day of the year, with 2 + 5 + 4 also equaling 11. Some even reported seeing 11 in dreams or visions before the attacks. Coincidence, or something cosmic? 8. The car that predicted its own crash. Can a car be cursed with foresight? In 1955, Hollywood rebel James Dean bought a Porsche 550 Spider, nicknaming it Little Bastard. Friends warned him the car felt dangerous, but Dean brushed it off until September 30th, when he was killed in a high-speed crash while driving it. The story didn't end there. The wreck was sold for parts, and those who touched it seemed to meet misfortune. A mechanic was badly injured when the engine slipped, and a doctor who installed parts into his own race car later died in a crash. Even the car's mangled shell caused chaos, sparking fires and injuries at auto shows. Then, in 1960, it vanished during transport, never seen again. Was Little Bastard just a machine, or a cursed omen tied to Dean's untimely fate? In conclusion, do these stories make you wonder if coincidences are more than chance? From presidents to twins, novels to cursed tombs, history's creepiest coincidences challenge our understanding of reality. They remind us that sometimes the universe aligns in ways that feel too perfect or too eerie to be random. What's the strangest coincidence you've encountered? Maybe it's a story waiting to join this list. If this sparked your curiosity, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. More thought-provoking content is on the way. Thank you.